Hi, welcome to the latest episode of To The Point, our Southpoint Access video journal, and that's what I'm doing with it now. I'm treating it as a journal of my life here in South Durham, but also of the news going on and my evolution of the project of Southpoint Access as we get kicked off into a full-time operation starting in July. Now, first, I want to talk about what's been going on since last episode. If you watched last episode, you know that I went in to get an MRI in the middle of last week. And the cardiac office got back to me and said, there's nothing to worry about. You're clear. Continue with your current treatments of blood pressure medicine and that sort of thing, and we'll follow up at the next appointment. So, sigh of relief about that. Nothing exciting to report. On Thursday, however, my wife, Catherine, I may not have mentioned this before, but she went to a conference for the Public Defender's Office in Winston-Salem a month or so ago. And while she was there, she rode a colleague's electric bicycle. It was her first time on an electric bike. And she lost control, fell, and luckily she's very agile and fit and was able to land, brace herself with her left hand, and all she really suffered was a broken pinky and a badly scraped knee, her left knee. They put a couple of pins in the pinky and wrapped it up. And for the first week, everything seemed to be going okay after the surgery. And then she started having pretty severe pain. And I mean, to the point where she was having to do Lamaze breathing to try to manage it while she was trying to sleep at night. So last Monday, a couple of days before my MRI, she went back to, she did a walk-in visit to the office where she had the original surgery, and told them she was in pain and that her fingers looked puffy, and she was concerned about that. And the PA on duty told her that she was moving her hand too much, that she wasn't using her sling enough, and he sent her home. Didn't unwrap the bandages to take a look and see what was going on in there. Didn't seem curious at all about that, just wanted her to sling more often. So she came home. We already had an appointment scheduled for Thursday for her to go get the pins out and then start physical therapy and healing and all that. Well, Thursday morning, we go back to the office to have that looked at, and I think it's going to be pretty routine. I'm in the lobby. She's back there seeing the doctor. And I was on a phone call, and the nurse came out and said, you need to come back here. And I went back, and it turned out she had a really bad infection. One of the pins had come loose, at least one, maybe both. And we had to get surgery that afternoon to clean it up and start antibiotics for the infection. So she spent the weekend in the hospital. She was, very, my wife is tough. She's brave. But she was clearly worried. I mean, that, are they going to amputate my hand? Are they going to take my finger? Nothing had to be amputated. She got some really intense antibiotics. Over the weekend, they figured out which bacteria they really needed to focus on. And she was able to come home on Monday. And she's being treated with one specific antibiotic now, using a PICC line. So I am now pretty well versed after a couple of days of doing this in administering a PICC line, and wiping with alcohol wipes and doing the flush with saline and then putting in the antibiotic. And luckily for us, I mean, we originally thought this was going to be an hour each time. We have to do it 3 times a day. We thought it was going to be an hour, like there were going to be multiple antibiotics, but since it's just one, this is really like a 20-minute procedure, and we just get to sit and talk and relax, and it's been a pretty painless procedure so far. So she's doing well. She's doing better. We've had an amazing amount of food brought to us, and we have a large contingent of Greek people in our community and non-Greek people who love to cook. So we've been taken well care of. We really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody. Meanwhile, in the news on Southpoint Access, you may have seen that the county commission in Durham passed their budget and went ahead and approved almost all the $27 million increase that the Durham Public Schools needed to try to make things right with the classified workers who saw their salary raises from last year yanked back because of a bookkeeping error by the former chief financial officer, overseen by the former superintendent. And it was not a real pretty sight when the commissioners got to talk about this decision. It passed 4-1. Brenda Howerton voted against it because she has concerns about the amount of money that this is going to take from the pockets of taxpayers in Durham County, from low income, from fixed income folks that can really not afford this, especially when the city is also raising its tax rates. So now the county and the city both raising tax rates in the same year. But the real criticism came from Sheena Burns, who approved the budget but took the time to criticize the Board of Education and to say that because she was being voted out from the county commission, and I believe she's finishing up in July, I'm not entirely sure, that the community for the Durham Public Schools school board ought to remember to vote them out when their terms come up, because she claims that they mismanaged funds for the better part of a decade. Now, I don't know how much of that is true, and I understand her frustration. I think it's mirrored in a lot of places. My concern is that, at least for this particular problem, it didn't seem like the public school Board of Education had any real say in voting on the actual salary schedules, which was a problem that I think they've addressed by creating a policy where they become the final arbiter and the final decision makers on this, as opposed to the superintendent. So next time this happens, it would be on them. Now, are there other projects, other things that money has been spent on that could have been spent better? Probably, but I don't know for sure. I have not been covering the K-12 education beat in Durham for about a decade. The better part of the decade that Ms. Burns was talking about. So it's possible, but it's one of the things that I'm more concerned with the fact that if there was any kind of, mismanagement of money, the problem may be more in that people weren't being held accountable by the public, and they weren't being held accountable by the public because there wasn't enough coverage from the media. And I can understand that given the limited resources that local media has, at least the bigger media. So I feel that a statement like this, that her concerns about mismanagement of funds, that's a rallying cry for somebody like me who is starting up this news operation to really dig in. So forewarning for my friends at Durham Public Schools, I will be doing a lot of public records requests. I'm going to be really trying to stay on top of how we're spending our money. And as a parent of kids in Durham Public Schools, as somebody reporting on behalf of other parents of kids in Durham Public Schools, I think it's important that we stay on top of this information. So I don't want, if I want people to have more than just somebody saying there's mismanagement, I want proof. I want something in print that says, yes, this money was spent. It should have been spent better. Here's what it was used for. Here's how the board screwed up, if they screwed up. So, as always, feel free to reach out to me at southpointaccessnews@gmail.com. You can also reach out to me on the Signal app. It's encrypted at southpointaccess.85. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting Southpoint Access, and we'll see you next time on To The Point.